And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon. Talk Radio 790 KABC, the John Phillips Show. Broadcasting live from the Morongo Casino Resort and Spa Living Room Studios. Mr. Randy Wangs at the sports desk in Culver City.
John, over the weekend, the city of Oakland hit a new milestone. For the first time ever, there have been more cars stolen than cars broken into in the city of Oakland as the city crossed 10,000 cars stolen. In response, Mayor Sheng Tao said,
crimes did not just happen overnight. And so it's going to take a little bit of time for us to implement and execute at the government level.
And in those 8 seconds, another car got stolen.
Well, if Oakland can't be first in the AL West, then why not be first in something?
Aren't the A's like at 108 losses or something?
Something like that. They're going to be Las Vegas's problem soon. 800-222-KABC is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, the district attorney of Los Angeles County, who might be the most awful, hideous elected official in all of the land, who chose not to pursue the death penalty for the alleged cop killer after confessing to killing a police officer in Los Angeles County a week ago, decided to do a sit-down interview with Marc Brown of ABC7. And just when you think this man can't get any dumber, he finds a way to prove you wrong.
That's our, can't say what the name is, but many people have emailed us what the name is.
Quite frankly.
And he earned it.
So Marc Brown did an Eyewitness Newsmakers, which is his Sunday morning news show, all about retail theft and organized retail crime and smash and grabs. And he actually got a one-on-one sit-down with George Gascon, who at the very beginning of this interview swears he is doing something about it.
Videos are terrifying and aggravating. The results can be catastrophic economically. What, if anything, can be done to cut down on these dangerous and costly retail thefts?
I could listen to this guy all day.
The alliteration that comes from Marc Brown's lips is really something to see.
Joining us to start the conversation is L.A. County District Attorney George Gascon. Mr. DA, thank you very much for joining us. There's been a crackdown. Law enforcement now has announced a number of arrests. Your office talking about some just in the last week or so, about 10 people, 6 in one instance, 4 in another.
We've only got 10? Great job, task force.
That have been arrested. Are we talking felony charges that these folks are facing?
Not only are we talking felony charges, but we're talking mostly robberies. Because that's what they are. You know, force or fear is being used in the process of taking this property. We're also alleging conspiracy because we have a group of people that are coming together for the purposes of committing a crime. We're looking for other charges as well, depending on the circumstances. You know, whether you have people that have prior history, whether there were other crimes involved. But they are all clearly felonies. They're being prosecuted accordingly, and we're committed to prosecuting these crimes to the fullest. And where we can, we want to make sure that people, we obtain the highest bail possible, given that we still have bail. You know, we prefer some of these people really stay in custody, they not be released. So that's another area that we're working on.
John, how much of that did you buy?
Not a word of it. Not one word. Not even the ribbons. Nothing.
George says he's tough on crime. He says he wants to make sure these people stay behind bars, they don't get out on no bail, and he wants to make sure they get prosecuted with felonies.
This guy is not just shoveling crap. He is one entire sewage treatment facility.
Marc Brown had to ask the follow-up, okay, let's talk about some of these cases. You're saying that they're not getting out, right?
So you've sought bail for every one of these folks that has been arrested?
Yes, we have, absolutely, where we can, right? I mean, you know, we have limitations in what the law allows.
Oh, wait, so already we're waffling on what you said you were doing.
Yes, and who supported all of these idiotic laws that doesn't allow us to keep anyone in jail?
Oh, that's George Gascon.
Oh, that's right.
Who authored the legislation that changed so many violent crimes to nonviolent crimes? And if it's a nonviolent crime, you get no bail? George Gascon.
But certainly where we can, we're seeking not only bail, but we're seeking for people to remain in custody when it is appropriate, especially when we have people that we know that have perhaps been out on an open case. One of the things that we're working very closely with our law enforcement partners is to make sure that people that have committed a crime have been released and they're out again, that there will be a different level of consequences, and where possible that we hold them in custody, pretrial confinement.
How's that working out?
They're not doing it.
That leads to yet another follow-up from Marc Brown.
You mentioned that where the law allows you're seeking bail. Where does the law not allow it?
Well, for instance, there are multiple layers here, right? So you have the...
Is that our first ribbit?
That is. But I would advise anybody to play the George Gascon Sounds Like a Frog drinking game, because it's early, and I don't want you to have a hangover by dinner time.
Well, for instance, there are multiple layers here, right? So you have the California Supreme Court has, stated in general terms that anybody that is convicted of anybody that's arrested for a nonviolent and serious crime, which is not a robbery, by the way. Robbery puts it out of there. But if it's a theft, the bail cannot be any higher than what they are allowed, that they can afford. More importantly, each county, and in this case here, the LA County Superior Court comes up with a bail policy every year that every law enforcement agency and us have to follow. And then we know that there is an issue of, too many people in jail. We have a jail that is overcrowded, so the sheriff sometimes has to release people.
Okay, so now he's going through all of the reasons why we don't keep anyone in jail after we arrest them.
Too many people in jail. We have a jail that is overcrowded, so the sheriff sometimes has to release people, even though he may like to hold them. So, for instance, in LA County, if you have a bail of under $50,000, sometimes you're going to be released immediately just simply because there's not enough space in our jail.
So are we building more jails?
See, this is what he's doing. He's purposely setting it up so that no one actually has to stay in jail. But he's saying there's accountability, and he's following the process, and he's seeking it. But he's only seeking it when he knows that the outcome will be that they won't have to go to jail.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to make sure that our response to this is tailored based on the realities that we work with, so that we have, when people are there, they have, are repeat offenders, that they're going to be held back in confinement until they face, their charges, and, it's determined whether they're guilty or not.
And now it's time for Marc Brown to get real specific, because he talked about the 10 arrests. Did any of these people in the 10 arrests, are they still behind bars?
Okay, so with regard to these two cases, we're talking about the Ross Dressed for Less.
Who robs a Ross?
Ross is one of the few stores that inflation hasn't hit.
The Ross Dressed for Less, and this
It
other
sounded,
one,
by the way, like he said cross-dress for less.
the Ross Dressed for Less, and this other one, which is the WSS shoe store, the total of 10 people. Of those, are they all over $50,000 bail? Are they all still, or have they bailed out? Do we know?
Yeah, I don't have the answer on the Ross for Less. The one, the shoe warehouse, the one that I'm available, that I'm aware of, that particular case, there was no force and there was no fear by the way that they were taking basically, and we can see this on video.
Oh, so you didn't charge them with robbery and felonies?
No. And these are the cases that made the news. So if there's any case at all where he's going to want to put these people in jail, it's going to be the ones that people are paying attention to. But if he's not even doing it for the ones that people are paying attention to, what do you think he's going to do if they rob your house?
Just wait. It gets better as George Gascon makes himself look awful.
They're putting the items in the bags and then they walk out. In fact, as they're coming out, we can see on the video one of them is struggling with the door, and somebody's coming in and they're kind of smiling and they get out. Now, we have been told, and we're trying to address that one of the individuals may have had a gun.
Oh, and you still didn't do anything about it.
No, he doesn't care. May have had a gun. Well, he didn't discharge it in the store, so what do you expect me to do?
He started this interview, I'm tough on crime, I'm going after these people. But as soon as you ask follow-up questions with details, who is he defending here? The retail owners or the criminals?
If you are this lenient on crime and you know that the special that Marc Brown is doing is on retail theft, why is it that you would ever agree to go on that show?
Because somebody is worried about March.
This guy is so dumb he could hide his own Easter eggs.
And that he did not draw it, but he sort of showed the gun to the security guard.
Oh, isn't that fear and force? Isn't that robbery, a felony, over $50,000 of bail that you did not pursue?
No, George Gascon wants to make him Employee of the Month.
If that were the case and the security guard was under fear that that gun could be used, then that would be escalated to a robbery.
Okay, but at that point, it's a retail theft.
It's a grand theft.
Okay.
Because we know that it definitely qualifies as a grand theft, so it is a felony. But under the current structure, they would probably be released, absent any other factors.
Okay.
So nobody who got arrested got held.
No, and why would he?
This leads Marc Brown to ask, are you trying to tell us, D.A. Gascon, that all of this is not your policies and it's completely out of your hands? You have nothing to do with it.
And their release, is that out of your hands in terms of...
Unfortunately, it is.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
And you know why I'm asking that?
No, I do.
Whenever I talk to people about the fact that I'm going to interview you, in fact, people say, you need to talk to the DA because he's...
I think they say harsher words than that.
Oh, they call him his nickname that we can only tell you via email.
In fact, people say, you need to talk to the DA because he's letting people out.
Yeah.
He's not letting people... he's against bail. And that was part of your policy when you first were elected, and you changed that somewhat about 2 years later. But is it still your long-term policy to be against cash bail for nonviolent offenses?
And let me kind of get to what my policies, frankly, and my feelings are irrelevant because bail is set by the courts. Mm-hmm. So people get released not by us, but by the courts.
But your attorneys ask for it. And you can
but here's what the rub comes.
Well, yeah.
This man is so full of crap.
It's one thing when you have these politicians on who are slick liars. They can change the subject. They don't like the question, they answer the question they wish they were asked. They're professional politicians. They know how to play the game. It's irritating to watch because you don't learn anything, and you certainly don't get answers to the questions that are relevant, but you can respect them for understanding their craft. This guy is just an awful liar, and he's stumbling his way through this interview, not knowing that it's a complete train wreck. Watching him get interviewed is like watching a drunk man drive down an icy road.
I am against cash bail because I believe that how much money you have in your bank account should not determine whether you're going to get out of jail or not. Mm-hmm. The determination should be made in whether you're a risk to public safety and whether you're a risk of flying the jurisdiction.
Yeah, but we're letting all of them out anyway.
Yes, and from his point of view, virtually no one is a threat to public safety.
It doesn't matter how much money you have. If you're a risk to safety, let's say that you have an open case, you are a risk, right? Mm-hmm. You already have shown your incapacity to stay out of crime when you're out. Mm-hmm. You should be held back, right? And frankly, it should not be because of money. It should be because you're dangerous, right? So, yes, I am against cash bail. Yes, I would like to hold a lot of these people back. The only tool that we have is cash bail today, so that's what we use.
So you're not using anything?
No, of course not.
But again, whether somebody's going to...
He doesn't want to put people in prison because he believes in alternatives to incarceration that don't exist, so we just take people out of prison.
That's right. And he also doesn't believe that any of them are violent or a threat.
But again, whether somebody's going to get released or not, there's going to be really a two-part question. Number one, is the court going to try to hold them back? And number two, does the sheriff have enough space?
Right.
Okay. Neither one of those I control.
Okay.
So he's passing the buck. It's Luna that's soft on crime, not George Gascon.
So doesn't that mean this problem's only going to get infinitely worse when they close Men's Central Jail?
Oh, that was the Board of Supervisors. You can't hang that on this dummy. There are other dummies that you can hang that one on.
You mean like this one?
Sort of, snowflake weepies.
I think that's the queen of the dummies.
How about this one?
Quite frankly.
That's dummy number 2.
How about this one?
Quite frankly.
Dummy number 3.
How about this one?
That's your final warning.
I'm not sure if she voted for that. She's only half a dummy.
Quite frankly.
And she's new, so she didn't get a chance to vote for it, but she supports it.
No.
Now, John, do you remember just about a week ago when we found out that the state of California, in response to this growing threat of retail crime, was going to send out grant money to different police and DA agencies throughout the entire state? And the biggest joke was the city of Oakland didn't turn in the paperwork on time.
That's right. They forgot.
At the same time, we learned from Fox 11's Phil Schuman, although it did not get widely reported, that as much as everyone had a great time making fun of Oakland for not getting the damn paperwork in, the city of Los Angeles, the county of Los Angeles, their district attorney's office also did not apply for the money. And it's not that they didn't get the paperwork in time. They didn't want the money.
That's right. In Oakland, they're stupid. Down here, they're malicious.
Well, I have yet to hear any official statement from George Gascon or the LA County District Attorney's Office on why they wouldn't take money from the state focused on this problem that they say they're taking seriously. And when I listened to this interview this morning, for the first time ever, I heard it addressed because Marc Brown asked the question. And later on in the hour, we're going to have the answer of why George Gascon did not want the money from the state to deal with organized retail crime.
If you want to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you are monitoring the mailbag.
Caroline writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. The subject line says, Gascon. That guy is so full of liar, liar, pants on fire.
My sentiments, exactly.
We got some wobbly knees allies.
And Randy, if you missed the first hour of today's show and you want to go back and listen to it later on, that's easy to do.
That's right. Go to KABC.com, click on podcasts, go to the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify, search for The John Phillips Show, hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. In fact, I just posted the first hour where John interviewed LA City Councilwoman Tracy Park on how the homeless are burning down the city.
In the meantime, what do you say we make a couple of listeners very happy?
Well, let's do that right now. 790 KABC welcomes Peter Gabriel to the Acrisure Arena on October 14th. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by Live Nation. Good luck dialing.
As we continue on with the Fix California Hour, Randy, we have more lies from the district attorney.
And the emails are getting real filthy at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. George Gascon sat down this Sunday morning with Marc Brown of ABC7 for Eyewitness Newsmakers to talk about organized retail theft. And the subject came up about the grant money that the state of California was giving to police agencies and district attorneys' offices all around the state of California. Oakland didn't apply because they're incompetent. LA County District Attorney's Office didn't apply for a different reason. And we have that for you right here, right now. Nope. As soon as I turn off the Chris Stapleton, then we will have it for you right here, right now.
Something that was or is potentially within your control was the grant money from the state of California. Different DAs in different jurisdictions across the state have received up to $2 million each. The initial press release from the state indicates that LA County was not among them. Has that been changed? And if not, why not?
Yeah, so let's first of all start. LA County has gotten over $40 million, right? The county sheriff department had a little over $15 million. LAPD got a little over $15 million. The Santa Monica Police Department got a little over $6 million. The Beverly Hills Police Department got a little over $4 million, and then San Fernando Police Department got about $500,000. So collectively, we have over $40 million.
Okay, stop the tape. The problem with this is this. You just can't have one aspect of public safety that's functioning and have someone who's the next cog down the line drop the ball. If the cops arrest someone for retail theft, but there's no one around to prosecute them, or there's no room for them in the jail, or there's no one there to watch the people in the jail, then the system breaks down and you let them out. So, yes, it's extremely important for our police officers to have the money they need to combat retail theft. But it's also important that our city attorney's office, our district attorney's office, our sheriff's department, who runs the jail, our court system, that they are all well funded so that they can perform their responsibilities too.
When
the cops arrest them and he doesn't prosecute them, it doesn't matter that the cops arrest them. Go ahead.
When the law was initially written, it made it very clear that it did not apply to the district attorneys. Later on, and we saw that. Later on, as the implementation of the law was applied, they put a Q&A that said that, a district attorney can apply through their county sheriff department and other law enforcement. We didn't. We looked at the law initially. We made a decision that we were not going to apply.
Okay, what does this have to do with anything? Now he's going to talk to us about the price of tea in China.
He's trying to run out the clock.
Yes. We know that the state was giving grants to DA's offices. It happened in different counties around the state. He was aware that the state was giving money to DA's offices, so don't pretend like you didn't know.
We didn't. We looked at the law initially. We made a decision that we were not going to apply.
Can you tell me why you would not want to ask for $2 million extra money to assist in the prosecution of retail theft?
Marc Brown is a pro because he is holding back the anger I'm sure he is feeling when talking to this jackass.
Marc Brown is doing a great job.
Can you tell me why you would not want to ask for $2 million extra money to assist in the prosecution of retail theft?
So again, chronologically, when we looked at the law initially, we didn't think we qualified.
Yeah, but they changed that, and you could get the money, and the money was available. Brooke Jenkins got a lot of money for San Francisco, and San Francisco is 1/10 the population of L.A. County.
He keeps stressing on an irrelevant fact that has nothing to do with anything.
When we then realized that we may have qualified by that time, the process was moving very quickly, and then the question that we ask ourselves is, given the resources that we have, given our capacity to be able to hire in a timely fashion, given the way that our bureaucracy works, because a lot of this money is going to go to overtime and other things of that nature, and given that we're working through law enforcement to do most of the case, we knew we have already assigned our organized crime division to be the point unit. All the cases are funneled through that area. We have been doing that already, and the determination was made, and quite frankly, very quickly, that we did not apply.
So they didn't need the money?
Quite frankly.
Yes.
And quite frankly, very quickly, that we did not apply.
We didn't need the money. We're doing a fantastic job. We're fully staffed. Our people are not overworked.
When have you ever heard a politician say that when free money was being offered?
It's almost like, and he doesn't want to say this, but he disagrees with what the money was supposed to be spent on.
That's right. He was elected, in his mind, to look out for the crooks. And if you give him more money with strings attached that you have to prosecute crooks, he's not interested.
Now, if you ask me, would you, looking back in retrospect, would you apply today for that money? I am not sure. Yeah, we would take a look at it, because the other part of this is, I truly believe that we have to be good guardians of public resources.
That's right. He's fiscally responsible, this George Gascon.
Oh, give me a break.
Well,
I've heard it all.
This is the same crap that he says all the time with why we can't keep people in jail or in prison. It costs too much money. I'm here to save you money. Prop 47 is supposed to save us tens of millions of dollars a year. It hasn't saved us a dime.
How dumb do you think he thinks we are, where he can go on a public forum and say something like that and think to himself that the people are actually going to buy it?
I am not sure. Yeah, we would take a look at it, because the other part of this is, I truly believe that we have to be good guardians of public resources. Given how much money our county has gotten, given the reality of where we are today, and the fact that we have the resources within our given structure to handle it, I am not sure whether we would or not apply at this point.
Okay.
Marc Brown is a man of great restraint. He took a deep breath and said, okay.
We didn't want the money because I don't want to waste taxpayers' money.
The taxpayers are the ones who are getting robbed. And whenever someone complains about the system breaking down, we're told that the system is overwhelmed and the system can't help us. When they provide more resources so the system can help us, they say, nah, we don't need it.
Let's hear the most crystal clear form of this explanation one more time.
Given the resources that we have, given our capacity to be able to hire in a timely fashion, given the way that our bureaucracy works, because a lot of this money is going to go to overtime and other things of that nature, and given that we're working through law enforcement to do most of the case, we knew we have already assigned our organized crime division to be the point unit. All the cases are funneled through that area. We have been doing that already, and the determination was made, and quite frankly, very quickly, that we did not apply.
You know what he is?
What is he?
He's an anarchist. If you've ever seen the movie The Joker, the character, the Joker, I'm not talking about Jack Nicholson. I'm talking about the one that was recently made. That character is an anarchist. That character wants chaos in the streets. That character wants buildings to burn. And he wants shops to be robbed. And he wants violent crimes to happen to people. Because at his core, what he wants is the destruction of civilized society. That was the motivation of the Joker. Now, in that particular movie, that character was driven by mental illness. The Joker was a fruitcake. And him being nuts caused him to behave in this manner, to behave the way that he did. George Gascon is an anarchist. George Gascon has the ability to bring about law and order in Los Angeles County, and he has the resources that are being offered to him to bring about public safety in Los Angeles County, and he chooses not to. He chooses to let the stores get robbed. He chooses to let people get shot and stabbed. He chooses to not enforce the rules that are on the books. That's not something that's happening because he doesn't have the resources. That's not something that's happening because his hands are tied. This is what he wants. He's getting the outcome. You walk out your door and you look and you see all of the homeless encampments and you see the crime and you see the cars with the smash and grabs and you see the catalytic converters get stolen and you see your Rite Aid and your Starbucks shut down because the crime is so bad and you see chaos. He looks around at the same things you see and he smiles and he's satisfied. And he believes it's a job well done on his part. Because letting the crooks have free reign over everyone who plays by the rules and pays their taxes, that to him is payback. That to him is equity. That to him is equality. He likes what he sees out there. That's how deranged this person is.
When we come back, Johnny, we're going to hear if the DA of Los Angeles County has the back of the retailers that decide they're going to defend their property.
All right, we're going through the sound of George Gascon's sit-down with ABC7's Marc Brown.
Marc Brown asks, what about retailers that want to fight back? Like the woman in El Monte who we talked to.
I want to quickly ask you whether, when you look at these thefts, whether it's a smash and grab or somebody walking in with bags and grabbing stuff off the shelves and walking out, does the retailer, does the shopkeeper have the right to resist those things with force?
Look, I mean...
This is not a hard question, Georgie.
No, it's not difficult at all unless you're an anarchist.
I understand why retailers do not want to use force, right? They don't want to engage, number one, in getting...
Wait, no. Marc Brown asked why they do want to use force.
Yes. In fact, in Sacramento, when they tried to make it illegal for shopkeepers to intervene when they're being robbed, there were a number of shopkeepers that showed up to the state capitol to protest the legislation and speak out against it.
And they gutted the hell out of that bill.
I understand why retailers do not want to use force, right? They don't want to engage, number one, in getting injured. There is, civil liability if they
Is he threatening the store owners?
Of course, because he sides with the crooks.
There is, civil liability if they get engaged in an altercation. So there are many reasons why a retailer may not want to. Can you use force to prevent a violent crime? Which a robbery is a violent crime? The answer is yes. Would I recommend that a retailer use force in order to prevent somebody that is using force or perhaps a gun? I would generally say no. Let law enforcement handle this.
If we're looking at a lot of family-owned jewelry stores, for example, that are getting hit. Somebody comes in and starts smashing up the counters. Do they have the right, as you see here in this video, that guy that very famously got attacked with sticks and ended up getting with nothing in El Monte?
The reason Marc Brown was chuckling a little bit there was because he remembered the guy's shirt came off.
He was a big fat guy.
Are those people at legal jeopardy from the law for doing that, or are they within their rights?
No, they definitely will be within the rights to protect their property. Right.
Okay.
No question about it. The question for me, and if it's my family, I would probably recommend, just let police handle this. Right.
How's that going?
He wants you to just stand by and quietly be robbed.
But are you within your legal right to take action to protect your property? Absolutely you are.
All right.
I wonder what the answer would be if the person who was robbing the store got hurt while you were defending your property. He would absolutely prosecute the shopkeeper. Absolutely. You can't convince me otherwise.
Quite frankly.
Because fundamentally, he sides with the criminal. That's just what we have right now as DA. The southern border is completely chaotic. We see the images on television on a regular basis. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to speak to someone who lives right on the border, who will give us an update on just exactly what she sees on a daily basis. We also have a crime update for you on what's going on in Oakland. And Oakland never disappoints when it comes to crime. So we're going to open up the KABC Crime Blotter as well. We've got one more hour coming up on the John Phillips Show. This is Talk Radio 790 KABC.
We got some wobbly knees allies